So, like I was saying, I'm trying to explain my most recent trip. And I'm not talking about a trip, I'm talking about the video. Wait, I guess you already know that because, well, you just watched it. Now we're on 3 days later, and I decided maybe I should put the music on and try to remember what it was like. I feel like I'm on David Copperfield all of a sudden. What is that? Am I on stage? Like, he has that background music before he does his magic. Alright. So, as you saw in the video, when the trip began, that was only about 20 minutes in. I was on the floor. I wanted to meditate, but once I started talking, because that's what I do when I get nervous, I suppose. Not that I was really nervous, I was feeling. I was feeling something that I didn't feel before that I heard you're supposed to feel, and it was transpiring, and I was kind of getting excited, but I guess I was slightly nervous. So as I laid there, as you see, one thing led to another, and I knocked the camera over. When the camera fell, I did see somebody I knew down there. And I know I said a couple people in the other video, but I was still, as you can see, extremely blown. My friggin' pupils were like this still. I honestly do not think that trip officially and fully ended until I was about 24 hours in. And I didn't sleep much. I only slept for 3 hours that day. So I was kind of going right full on through with whatever it was. Now, you did see the amount in the previous videos. Now, a lot of people will probably tell you what I experienced was far too much for that dosage. One person did say to me they do believe that there may have been LSD or acid in those mushrooms based off the story that I told them, which I'm going to try to tell you tonight. But it's a little different now because it's been a couple days and the hype has gone down. But he did a pretty good job trying to explain this the other day, so we're going to try again because, as you saw in the original video, it did get very dark. And I was by myself. I did not have a trip sitter or anything like that. But I had memories of, like I said before in the actual video, I watch people on YouTube experiment for science with different chemical compounds. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy watching how it actually interacts with the mind and people interact with each other. It's very fascinating to me. So when I knocked it over, I saw this person I knew laying on the ground. It set me off a couple times just because it kept thinking that person was laying there and it just wasn't a good thing. But at the same time, it was, because it was like that person was here with me the whole time. My reality kept switching between light and dark and different realities that could coincide with the actual reality that we live in. So at one point, trying to fall into the pattern of it, but it's so hard. It's like it's vanishing from me. I fell into sync with this music. And it was like, I just was flowing with it. I was like in and out, but at a much faster pace. It wasn't like this at all. I was standing over here. In the doorway. At one point, this wall over here began to contort and shift. I just watched it. And all of a sudden, the fabric of reality and net appeared. It was all these strands of sparkling light being connected together with little notes. And I just breathed it in. And I felt like everybody who was vibing with me in my higher level of consciousness that I knew was doing it too. didn't know if it was me or him. But it was beautiful. And then I looked over here, and all of this was moving and shifting and turning, as if the light was being moved and the shadows were being recasted. And very much of this, my face was quite like this, shocked and amazed. It's weird, I'm not doing it any justice. And all of a sudden, I ran into the bathroom, that's right. I ran into the bathroom and I looked outside. This actually, no. It's so weird. I experienced so many realities that day. The dark one that I was making mention to happened here in the living room. And I was standing here. And I forget what was happening. It was close to, I saw the tripod on the ground and this just had done. I remember I was out there and I was running around and the music had gone off. I had to turn the music off. It was only an hour. So I was tripping like that in that lucid, like happy, interconnected state for about an hour, which is good. But now I'm like, I didn't make the full 2 hours of the tape or this particular song, whatever the case may be. I guess it's on YouTube. It's so weird how YouTube is like a trigger word. So I came in here, and all of a sudden, I gazed down, and all I saw was blood everywhere. And my hand somehow slipped to here, and my outfit had ripped, and the blood was everywhere. It really wasn't, but it was, based off the hallucination. There was blood, and in my mind it registered, holy shit, what did I do? I'm on mushrooms. There's blood, and then I went like this and I realized I was on my period, but it never registered, and I thought there was blood fucking everywhere. I kept forgetting that it was my period. And I'm looking around freaking out, and then it dawns on me there's no blood. And then I think, no, that's the hallucination. There's blood fucking everywhere. And I looked at my hands and blood started to just appear everywhere. And I looked down and all of my pants were striped in the blood, and it wrapped and swirled around, and it was like my hand was going up inside myself with it, and I pulled it away and I ran to the bathroom. At some point in time I was saying I was experiencing a plethora of things or something of that nature, but when I ran to the bathroom, I looked in the mirror and it was still dark. And my face was monstrous and covered in blood. It looked like there was huge scratches. It was everywhere. So I quickly turned on the water and that was blood too, and I put my hands under it, and it was really weird because I know that's actually from the movie, but in that moment, that movie did not even fucking register until now. That would have been it, by the way. But that didn't register until now. I was washing and I was getting covered, and then in a moment I looked. I saw that monster inside of me, and she fucking smiled. She smiled through the blood. And then I snapped out of it. And I looked to the window because it sounded so busy out there for whatever time it was. It probably would have been a little after 9:30. I looked outside and it was like the whole world was different. It was electric. It was energy. It was vibrant and it was building. My eyes were just growing so wide. And then I realized it was simulated and fake. And I got really fucking upset. I just said to myself as I put my hand on the screens, looking out at the intersection, this is wrong. This Is it what it's supposed to be like? I looked up. It was like I could see a grid trapping us all from our truest potential. My eyes just kept looking around, disgusted by what we have done. Made me turn. It's so sad. And I felt deranged. And I kept looking out there. And I knew I was gonna fight against whatever the fuck was creating it. I would use that force to my greatest ability as well. Then I smiled again. And I remember I left the bathroom. Took off the outfit. No, I already had the outfit off. I took it off as soon as I got in there. That's right. Because the next part I had trouble. I couldn't figure out what to put on. It was like I was terrified to get dressed, but I knew I had to get dressed, and I knew the realities were changing so fast. At some point during all of this, the apocalypse began outside, and I know how funny that sounds now, but I had an audio hallucination because I refused to look out the windows. I refused. I didn't want to. I just hurt my arm, one of my movements, but I'll fix it tomorrow. Sometimes that happens. I do this often, actually. Got a long strain. So I sat, and it sounded like there was gunshots and warriors on motorcycles, and I could hear explosions, I could hear everything, and I could feel it, and I knew it might not actually be out that fucking window. But somewhere there's a reality where the apocalypse is much different than what we're experiencing now due to the simulation. Even though it's not real here, it's real somewhere. And people dream about it. I talk to so many people. Maybe not here, but everywhere. And they report nightmares of the apocalypse, which I experienced in a dream while on hallucination drugs. Or what I should say is I experienced in a dream while I was on drugs. Awake, with my eyes open. It's real. At one point I actually thought they came in and took my neighbor, whoever they are. I know it sounds so paranoid and crazy, but right before that I locked my door. As if I knew something was going to transpire, even though it didn't really transpire here somewhere. Even though that is also based off a movie too that I'd never seen, but for a short little conversation. At some point I thought people were on the roof, and I was scared about my screen door. I had to lock it. I thought they were going to come in. Whoever they are. Somewhere out there. I couldn't look at the phone every time I did. It just kept giving me this screen that said to log in, and I couldn't remember how to log in, and I felt like this weird little robot. I had no idea how to use it. As if I was being told, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to simulate during this. Which I did say at the beginning of the trip. And I'm not doing this trip any justice by telling this story. But based on the way it's been haunting me the last couple of days, even though I enjoyed the agony, I enjoyed the delirium, the happiness, everything. I should have just did it that night when I did the other recording on the phone, but I don't know. I didn't really feel like putting clothes back on, even though I did go out to the beach to watch the sunrise. That was beautiful. I remember I did try to communicate with two people, and I still have no idea why, but I know it was the simulation responding more than my own emotions or reason. Except for one. As I looked at his picture, I had my hand on the screen. And this person I've never had an intimate experience with. And I knew that person, but I didn't know that person. No, I knew that person, but that person doesn't know me. But there is something deeply profound about this person and I that I can't just seem to walk away from. And I know it might be best, but I don't know. So I asked him if I ever met him. One is a block, one is a stripe. I'm still not sure what that was about, except the fact that I was just typing and I was on the computer and I wasn't sure what was going on. Like, I wasn't really linking on the computer like I'm used to linking on the computer when I'm not on mushrooms. Something else was happening. Something I really couldn't control, even though I wanted to. That one part is I needed to know if he knew me at that moment. But you know how the world is. It took me a while to come down because I kept thinking about the blood and I kept thinking about how weird that was, because I remember there was a moment I thought to myself during that, this is gonna be a bad trip. This is gonna be a bad trip. This is I'm gonna have to call somebody for help. I got myself out of that. I got myself out of that. I had to remind myself that nobody dies on mushrooms. At least not naturally, I'm sure. Maybe I could have gotten myself into a panic attack and had a heart attack, but I'm going to be honest, I don't. When you internalize your anxiety, it's not quite what people might think it is. It makes you stronger. If you don't release the anxiety, it's when you release it that gives it power. Yeah, somebody who internalizes their anxiety, unfortunately, has a really hard time being a soft person. Because inside is constantly like this. It's jittery. You love the manic energy. It's what makes you feel alive. Now people will say, well, there's two different things. No. If you transmute anxiety into mania, you get much better results when it comes to the thinking. You can connect dots faster. Anyway. This is a weird way to tell it. I wonder how many times I can do it. I really wish I got the authentic, because that day my eyes were seeing reality so different. My body, as you can see in that first video, it was like that the whole time. Part of me thinks maybe I should watch that video and then try and record this again. So I think we're going to do that. I seem to be now rejecting people who cannot meet me at a higher level of consciousness. My job is not here as a teacher. Um, I'm not a cult leader either. That's something that keeps coming up ever since Mother God or Mother Love, whatever her name is, passed away. I do have similarities to Mother Love, but at the same time, I understand why her cult veered in such a horrible direction at the end, and I'm not at all saying that I agree with their methods, but when you hit a certain level of spirituality and you notice that people are not recognizing what spirituality is and what spirituality is being made to be, you get a little fucking pissed off. And you start to really begin to project yourself aggressively to hopefully wake people up. The spiritual community right now is probably the largest group of sleepers that I know. They are definitely sheeple at high extremes. They don't seem to understand that we do need our ego at this point in time, where we're at in the world of psychological warfare, to keep us safe. And those that are projecting on people that they should not have an ego are those that are disempowering people. And by telling people to remove their ego is actually doing nothing more but acting into their ego. So when you have somebody telling you to keep your ego in check, pump that shit a little bit higher.